Welcome, everyone, to the Union Federation podcast, where we discuss both Star Trek and the Orville here on the Fandom Podcast Network. My name is Kevin, and we've got a great show for you guys. First of all, we want to celebrate Strange New Worlds. We're really excited about the new season here, and we got some really fun discussion coming up soon. This is, of course, the Union Federation podcast. And we also are on the BQN. So make sure you check us out there and the FPN. And go ahead and hit our QR code there if you're watching the video live. We are now going live with Union Federation. So please join us each week. And if you want, join the live chat. We'd appreciate that. Also, one thing we want to let you guys know, this is season 3 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. We got some fun stuff coming up here, okay? And we got 10 episodes to talk about coming up too as well. But you know what? Let's go ahead and get into the main part of the show. Let's introduce our crew. With me, as always, of course, is my co-founder of the Fandom Podcast Network. Let's welcome Kyle Wagner. What's up, dude?
Are we doing Strange New Worlds this week, or is it The Last of Us? I'm not quite sure. By the way, I just want to say I got a communique from our Chief Science Officer, Haley. She is having some plant life problems too, but she hopes to be teleporting into the ship here momentarily.
She took the shuttle to Kenfori, didn't she? All right.
Yep, there she did. In fact, I think I might have heard a transporter ping just right now.
All right. Well, let's put some communication here going here, but let's go ahead and add, of course, we got to add our chief counselor here, first officer, real counselor, of course, and founder of the BQN. Please welcome Amy Nelson. What's going on?
Well, hello. I am so glad to be back again. I missed last week. My apologies. So glad to be back.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to get your thoughts on the first couple episodes in just a moment. But first, of course, we can't continue here without the Oracle. And, of course, our science officer, Miss Haley Stoddard. What's going on?
Hello.
Welcome. Good to see you.
It's good to see you. The plans did not get me.
Good.
Yeah, I'm really glad the plans did not get me.
Subspace Pro we need to put out there. Don't go to Kenfori. Just don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, guys, let's go ahead and just tease what's been happening recently, of course, on the Union Federation podcast. And, of course, last year we did a wonderful I think 9 episodes we did where we discussed every Star Trek Next Generation 2-part episode. That was a lot of fun there. And we also, of course, recently talked about the final season 5 of Star Trek Lower Decks. And we also did a review of Star Trek Section 31. And more recently, too, we also did we returned to the Orville, where we did a 10-episode limited series on each of the main crew members, including the last episode we talked about was all of the wonderful guest stars that were on the Orville, including Star Trek alumni. And, of course, right now we are celebrating the 10-episode current season of Season 3 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And the last episode we did was episodes 1 and 2. Of course, the first episode was part 2 of Hedge Money, part 2. It's an inside joke. If you were listening last time, I just kept butchering the name. And then I'm just going to go with what Haley said. Just think, you're making money on that hedge money. So I'm just saying hedge money. And then, of course, Wedding Bell Blues. It was funny, Amy. It was hilarious. I just could not get it in my head, so I'm mispronouncing it. But, Amy, I wanted to talk to you about Hedge Money, Part 2, and Wedding Bell Blues. What were your thoughts on those 2 episodes?
Man, I watched Hegemony Part 1 back in May because I knew there was going to be a Part 2. But my gosh, when I started, I was like, I don't even remember any of this previously on Strange New Worlds. So that recap was really good. And I thought it was a great conclusion to that 2-parter. I loved the nod to Best of Both Worlds of put them to sleep. Let's just put them into hibernation. It's really good to just, get them away, but they're still lurking out there because they might wake up. So that was really, really good. And my gosh, just to see the characters again after so long was great. Now, Wedding Bell Blues, I wish they would have waited a week. I'm sure you discussed that as well. Like, just
You need to lighten up the mood, you know?
Yeah, like, but it's like you go from this serious Gorn attack, and then we're like, ooh, all Heidi and flighty and having fun with Trelane, which now canon is Q. So that was so amazing. I love my Spock hijinks episodes. Usually it's episode 5, but I definitely can see why they put it at episode 2 between 1 and 3.
Right.
So I'm loving Wedding Bell Blues. That was super fun.
Yeah, I had made a comment. I thought the costumes were phenomenal in that one. So
yeah.
it was a lot of fun. Well, guys, we actually have some Star Trek news. Let's get into that. So I actually was in Comic-Con. I was only there for about a day and a half, and I was there celebrating another fandom, G.I. Joe, with some friends of mine. We were doing some promotion with the Hasbro. So I didn't get a chance to do a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do, nor did I really want to navigate the floors of Comic-Con, and it was really, really crazy. But because we were here on the Union Federation and talking Star Trek, there was some Star Trek news that's quite important. So I wanted to bring this to the table, guys. So Star Trek Strange New World showcases first look at current and upcoming seasons during Comic-Con's Hall H panel this weekend. And those that don't know, Hall H is the largest hall at Comic-Con. If you have if you're showcasing something at Hall H, that means you're big. It was revealed that season 4 episode boldly explore the puppet verse featuring puppets created by Jim Henson's Creature Shop. If you don't know who Jim Henson is, go home right now and learn. And so this was a neat thing. And if you guys get a chance, make sure you go check out the video, because there's a little teaser of showcasing Mr. Pike here as a puppet. That's what I'm showing here on the video. Paramount Plus announced season 4 of its original Star Trek Strange New World will feature a puppet-themed episode featuring USS Enterprise crew members as puppets created by the iconic Jim Henson Creature Shop. This episode is directed by Jordan Canning. Fraggle Rock, Back to the Rock. The reveal was made during today's Star Trek Universal presentation in Hall H at Comic-Con International in San Diego, of course. And it was moderated by Star Trek legend Robert Picardo. The Star Trek Strange New Worlds panel portion featured a conversation with co-showrunners and executive producer Akiva Goldsman and Henry Alonzo Myers, executive producer Alex Kurtzman, and cast members Rebecca Romaine, Ethan Peck, Jess Bush, Christina Chong, and Paul Wesley. Wow. And in addition to Hall H, audience was treated to a surprise advance screening of the series' upcoming new episode, quote, a space adventure hour ahead of its debut Thursday, July 31st on Paramount Plus. Check out that picture on YouTube right there if you're watching this. Pretty cool. So yeah, and it says it's also directed by Jonathan Frakes. We know that guy. The episode incorporates a murder mystery theme when Leanne Chong tests a prototype holodeck with a fictional case only she can solve. The consequences of failure get greater and greater, with the Enterprise hanging in the balance. In celebration of, quote, a space adventure hour, the episode will be available to stream for free starting Thursday, July 31st through Wednesday, August 6th on Pluto TV, Paramount Plus channels, Amazon, Apple, and Roku. The free concert hub on Paramount Plus, and the Paramount Plus YouTube channel. So guys, it looks like they're going all out here. Kyle, what are your thoughts on this news?
I'm very excited about this, but I also want to bring up one other thing about this particular presentation at Hall H. A lot of people were disappointed Anson Mount was there, but if you were watching on social media, he had a very good reason why he was not there, because 2 weeks ago, Anson Mount became a father again, and his beautiful little April, and he put out a nice little message on social media, because this is the second year he's missed Comic-Con. Last year he was traveling and unfortunately couldn't be there, but
I bet that baby came out with a full head of hair.
No, but you know that baby's going to have some amazing hair as she grows up. But I just thought that was very sweet of him to put that out, and especially share a picture of her on social media. A lot of celebrities are very guarded about that, but he was very open and honest about it. It's just another reason why we love Anson Mount.
Yeah. Haley, what was your reaction to this news? Are you hearing it for the first time?
Well, for one, I had to take out my stuff because you know how I don't like spoilers. So I was not listening to the last little part because I didn't want to know. But I am super excited for this like space adventure hour. It's going to be exciting. And also, I am so totally down for Muppets in space because I mean, I love the Muppets in space, right? Because, we all grew up watching the Muppets. And I grew up watching Fraggle Rock. That was
me too.
one show my parents said that I had to watch every day.
Wow.
Every day when I was little. And so I am so down. I'm so excited. I know it's going to be a while, but I'm stoked.
We're going to have to wait till season 4 to see the puppet episode.
I don't care. I'm so excited. I will wait. And he's Kevin, Anson, still hot as a Muppet.
Kevin, I did have one thing because I remember I did send this to you on social media as soon as I saw it. Who has better hair, Captain Puppet Spike or Captain Pike, or Puppet Captain Pike or Puppet Angel?
Oh, yes. I'm going to go with Pike. Pike wins all the hair. Amy, what are your thoughts on this?
I heard and I've seen the little preview for the Muppets Strange New Worlds. Absolutely cute. It's so cute. He's like, did they leave me? Because it's only Muppet Pipe on the bridge. So please go check that out. You can find it on YouTube. But this space adventure, I did not hear about this, and I am all for it. I am so excited to hear about this, and I love Christina Chong. Like, she's amazing. So, bring it on. I'm putting that on the calendar. That's amazing.
We had one more little bit of news. It's kind of big here, guys. Starfleet Academy coming early 2026 on Paramount Plus. Comic-Con, we saw the first Comic-Con showcase, the very first photographs from Star Trek Starfleet Academy. And the third season, of course, was also showcased here at Hall H in San Diego Comic-Con. And, it was during the same panel, I'm assuming here. But I want to show you the pictures that they were teasing here, guys. There was also a teaser trailer. So make sure you check that out on YouTube. But it's looking pretty interesting here, guys. We got Holly Hunter as the captain in charge, or the leader of this motley crew. I don't know if you want to call them that, of course, of the Starfleet Academy cadets. And we got pretty good pictures of a lot of the cadets here. I'm not going to name all their names right now, but I'm showcasing them on video here. I thought they did a really good job of kind of showcasing their cadet cards that you would see, little digital cards here. Paul Giamatti looks like he's playing a villain. I don't know if you guys know this, but he's a good actor. And he's showcased in this one, which I thought was great. And this is kind of interesting too, guys. I had to share this because I just wanted to bring it to the table. I don't know if this is something they're teasing or if it's just had to be something, but one of the Academy members is looking at this mysterious picture on a monitor saying the fate of Benjamin Sisko, emissary of the prophets. And it says Captain Sisko fate. And then there's like kind of like a question of like, what's happened to him? Where is he? Whatever happened to him? It says, did he let's say here, did he die in the caves of Bajor? Did he live on the Celestial Temple? So I just thought that was kind of a little interesting little tidbit that they threw out there, Amy.
So I'm wondering, because of this, that maybe Starfleet Academy might have the advantage, because we are in the Discovery era, of going back and learning lessons from previous that we've seen they've done before, right? So they definitely could reference, well, this happened back in Captain Janeway or Benjamin Sisko. Like, I'm hoping that they can bring in some of these, stories from classic Trek to inform and to teach with, because it's all about real life examples, as teachers know. So I'm hopeful with that screenshot.
That the last season of Discovery did a couple little cool nods to the original, like earlier Trek, because that, one of the things that we were wondering, like, why are they so far out in the future? It seems like they'll be out of touch, but they're finding ways to stroke that nostalgia of previous stuff. So that was cool.
Exactly.
I did want to showcase a couple more pictures here. We do have some other cast members that are going to be returning. And then we have some new ones here as well. I have, it looks like Zoe Steiner is Tarina Ma Sadal. Also, we have here, and it looks like we have Termina Sadal is the daughter of the Betazoid president, which I believe is the girl in white up there on the right-hand corner. But this is interesting here, guys. We also have Gina Yashir as Commander Laura Thok. Commander Laura Thok is a reoccurring character and Klingon/Jem'Hadar hybrid, serving as Captain X First Officer. So interesting. We get a Jem'Hadar/Klingon in Starfleet, and also returning, we'll have Robert Picardo as the Doctor, Tig Notaro as Jet Reno, and Oded. He's so hot right now, Fair, as Admiral Vance.
Ooh.
Hold on.
Feeling warm in here for Amy.
needs to take a minute here. I think I do too.
Listen, there was a huge omission in that trailer because we did not see Mr. Oded Fair. Come on, Admiral Vance. He was not in the trailer. I was so disappointed.
He was in the background. There's a background shot with him in it. But you got to catch it real quick.
Oh,
Also,
man.
too,
And do you know who else wasn't in the trailer? Miss Tilly.
Yeah, I was going to say Mary Wiseman wasn't. And she's supposed to be a big part of this.
Well, that's actually, I have some information here. It says, of course, we have Nuss Braca, played by Paul Giamatti, the reoccurring half Klingon, half Tellarite villain who has an ominous past with one of the Academy cadets. The trailer also gives us a brief look at Tatiana Maslany's guest character, but there's no visual reference to Mary Wiseman's Star Trek Discovery character, Tilly. It was announced last year. So maybe we'll get more of that later. This is, of course, is a teaser. So there you go. Yeah. Big news, though. Big news.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get into the first away mission, guys. We got stuff to talk about. All right, this is Star Trek Strange New Worlds here on Union Federation Podcast, discussing Season 3, Episode 3, Shuttle to Kenfori. I got a new spoiler alert image there. We got to show Wesley. Spoiler alert! So we will let you guys know now. If you have not seen the episode, please watch the episode and come back and join us. Otherwise, feel free to be spoiled. Okay, well, I think it's time to get into the Admiral's Log episode synopsis for, of course, this episode, Strange New World Season 3. Episode 3, Shuttle to Kenfori. If you can go ahead and hit us with that, Amy, I'd appreciate that. Shuttle to Kenfori.
The Gorn DNA in Batel's body reactivates, and her only chance of survival is a rare chimera flower on the planet Kenfori, which is contested by the Federation and the Klingons. Pike and M'Benga take a shuttle to the planet while the Enterprise hides nearby. They find the flower, which has transformed a group of scientists into zombies. When a Klingon ship arrives, Number 1 decides to approach the planet slowly to avoid detection. Ortegas disobeys orders, alerting the Klingons to their presence and forcing a riskier approach. Pike and M'Benga are tracked by Baitha, the daughter of Klingon ambassador Dakra, who seeks to kill M'Benga to restore her family's honor. M'Benga confesses to murdering Dakra and defeats Baitha in a duel, but spares her life. She sacrifices herself to allow M'Benga and Pike to escape from the zombies. Later, Number 1 reprimands Ortegas for her insubordination and relieves her of duty for 2 weeks. Pike is horrified to learn that Batel and M'Benga plan to use the flower to turn Batel into a human/Gorn hybrid, which he reluctantly accepts is her decision.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get some first reactions here. Haley, I want to start with you on this. What was your first reactions to Shuttle to Kenfori?
I was not expecting space zombies at all. However, this chimera thing. So there's this plant. So it's not surprising that Batel has chosen to become this Gorn human hybrid thing, and we don't know what that's going to look like. So that's going to be very interesting. And perhaps that's how they throw the Gorn back into the season, simply because maybe then that creates the connection that, leads to some diplomacy maybe later on. We'll see. Was not expecting space zombies. And I know we're probably going to get to it, but Number 1's hair was awful.
We will be discussing that, so hold on to that.
Oh, so bad.
Amy,
so bad.
What about you? Your thoughts on Shuttle to Kenfori?
I love this episode. First of all, because I love Under the Cloak of War, which was last season's Mbenga and Dakar, that whole story. And I'm so glad that they went back to it, because part of the reason that I loved it was Mbenga, it was ambiguous. Like, did he kill him out of revenge and out of spite, or was it self-defense? And now we get that answered. And what I loved was, it's a tough decision, and he did it. And Pike in the end was like, you're not a bad person. Like, there were definitely circumstances that led up to it. One choice does not define you. And I love that. I feel like Mbenga was able, once he verbalized that, to accept that. And so that story arc from last season to this season, I absolutely loved. And yeah, I was not expecting zombies at all. But I was thinking with Battelle, if you remember Picard season 2, where you had the Borg Queen Girardi, and she conformed and made that new Borg Queen, and they were communicating with the Borg through Girardi. I'm wondering if Battelle, if she's now going to be half Gorn, half human, that she's going to be able to do something similar to Queen Girardi.
Interesting.
That's my hypothesis.
All right, Kyle, what are your first reactions to Shuttle to Kenfori?
Okay, Alex Kurtzman and all the people over at Trek, and I love you all, but if you do not give me either a 2-hour movie or a 3 or 4 episode miniseries of tales of a young Mbenga, I need this in my life, because there's so many cool stories.
It's going to be so dark, Kyle.
I know it's going to be dark, but Mbenga has become one of my favorite characters on this show. I think he's fascinating. One of the more complex characters in Star Trek lore at this point, with what they've done for him. I think what they are doing with the Gorn and with Battelle, not going to end well for Battelle. I'm just saying it now. This is not going to be a good ending here, but it is very intriguing what they're doing. I actually think what's even more intriguing is what the heck is going on with Ortega, because this is somebody who wouldn't disobey an order in prior seasons. She was loyal to right down, following the line, even when she didn't agree with it. And now she's acting out a little bit. And I think this is going to be a very interesting story to see how it plays along. This is probably my favorite episode of the season so far. I love this episode.
Wow.
Bit of everything in it. And I love, like I said, it's Last of Us meets Star Trek. Beware the plant life.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting a zombie episode either. It was interesting how they, we can touch more on that later, but I did catch me by surprise. But I was more interested, of course, what was happening with Mbenga, and of course, his now relationship with the captain as well, and what the rest of the crew was doing with, looks like we're going to see another, little hybrid. Those Gorn, man, they are pesky on how they just stick inside you and literally stay in your blood. So yeah. So I have an observation here. Got a couple observations I want to bring to the table, and you touched on it, Amy here, or Haley here, and I want to talk about the hair that we had here for Una Chin Riley, played by Rebecca Romaine. What the actual F? What is going on here with this hair? Okay, so I was wondering if it wasn't just me going like, what are they trying to do here? What is going on here? So I went to social media, and I also went to AI Overview, and here's what AI Overview told us. In Star Trek Strange New World Season 3, Episode 3, Shuttle to Kenfori, Una Chin Riley, played by Rebecca Romaine, has a distinctive hairstyle that some viewers found distracting. The style is described as a severe bowl-like shape reminiscent of the ancient Roman statue. Some speculate it was chosen to give her a more severe look, possibly to reflect her role in the episode, and to make her hair easier to manage during floating scenes, not floating seasons. Some viewers of the episodic medium found the wig particularly distracting, while others appreciated how it highlighted Romaine's facial features. No, I'm nominate this for not only the worst hair in sci-fi, but the worst hair of all time in TVs and movies. This was really distracting. I could not get over this. I want to bring it up to you first, Haley, because you mentioned it. Your thoughts on the hair. And I just want to let you know that she's going to be getting this question for the rest of her life now.
Yeah. It's going to be a thing. No, it was distracting. And I just tried my best to just listen and not look there. And I get it, because I get this myself. I wear wigs. Most people know this. I have shaved my head, and I sometimes, when I go out in public and I don't want to wear a wig, I don't wear a wig, and I get looks of people like, "Oh, okay, that's." And like this one kid was like, "Mom, why is her head shaved?"
Oh,
It's fine. It's fine. But so yeah, it can be very distracting from things, and it was kind of like a scene stealer unintentionally.
Mhm.
I don't know where they got this idea from. I can understand if, when they lost the gravity shielding in the ship, they didn't want to have to worry about her hair, but they could have had her, I don't know, they could have done something so much different. If you look back at, in the original series, and you look back at number one's hair was never like this. So I don't know where they got this idea from, but it was bad.
I'm showcasing an earlier picture from earlier seasons and stuff, and her hair looks great. It's down and everything like that.
Her hair was fine in the previous episode.
yeah, Wedding Bell Blue, she was gorgeous, like stunningly gorgeous. And now we get this like Helga, Princess Leia. I don't know what is going on.
No, don't even compare it to Princess Leia.
Yeah, Leia is better, but this is very much Heidi. It's Heidi.
Yes, Heidi, Helga.
Yeah. I'll just go ahead, Kyle.
I said I have an explanation for this, Kevin. I
have it in the trivia that's coming up. So
but I think my explanation is going to be much more feasible.
Okay, all right.
All the radiation that they were putting off and messing with in that area activated the X gene that is still in Rebecca Romaine Stamos from playing Mystique in X-Men all these times, but it malfunctioned greatly. It messed up her hair because there is no way in the world that you can make Rebecca Romaine Stamos, or Rebecca Romaine at this point, I'm sorry, distracting, and yet they managed to do it somehow. That is the only explanation that I will accept, is that the radiation affected her X gene and reactivated her Mystique powers in a horrible way.
All right. I'm just gonna mention this briefly. I did in the last episode. I am not a fan of the medical jumpsuits. I don't find them flattering at all. Apparently they're easier for the cast to wear them, and Jess Bush likes to wear them, but I don't get it. I think they're horrible. I'm not a fan of them. I did want to mention though, we have a new addition to the cast. We have Lieutenant Scannell. Introduced Lieutenant Scannell, a bridge officer. Lieutenant Scannell, played by Ishan Dave, is introduced in this episode. I thought it was funny, though, because I didn't really know his name, but I thought it was funny that number one goes, "Can you please initiate scans, Lieutenant Scannell?" Just me?
You probably
Okay, I
get
thought
that
that was
joke
funny.
a lot.
Okay, so I do want to point out they're like collecting new people, because go back to when you were talking about the medical jumpsuits. That guy, remember? And they're like, "Oh, are you new here?" And so she's like, number one was like, "Oh, we're gonna keep you around." Oh yeah, I'd like that. And then like the bartender, and now this Lieutenant Scannell.
It's funny you bring all that up, because that was a topic on the last episode that we did about, is there too many new characters?
Yeah.
How are they going to juggle them? So yeah, I'm glad you noticed that as well, Amy.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let's go ahead and get into some Star Trek trivia and Easter eggs. All right, let's go and get there. Okay, so Kyle, why don't you go ahead and hit the first one here? I thought this was great.
Okay, so inspired by zombie cinema, the episode and the planet Kenfori are named for Kenfori, a prominent actor in the classic 1978 zombie movie Dawn of the Dead. This reflects the episode's horror genre focus, featuring zombie-like creatures.
That is so cool. I love it when they do that.
Yeah, nice tribute there to Kenfori.
Yes.
Amy, go ahead and hit us with the next bit of trivia here.
Well, this is the first episode to show a Strange New World style phaser set to overload. Previously, a Discover style phaser was seen overloading Discovery in New Eden. Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. Haley, hit us with the next bit of Klingon trivia here.
Yeah. The Klingon team uses an updated version of the Klingon tricorder seen previously in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It's a really cool handheld version. I like it.
I love Klingon tech. I love when they use stuff, and I love the look of it. I thought it was really, really cool.
I also love, if we go back to the Starfleet Academy, the science one is a Klingon. And I think that's really, really cool, I have to say, because, you don't think of it. I mean, I'm sure they have science officers. They have to.
Yeah.
But I love that it's a Klingon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, as I teased earlier, the last bit of trivia here has to do about the hair. The hair. The bridge crew barely notices their momentary loss of gravity, dropping right back into their seats without even a comment. This explains why all the women officers had tight hairstyles this week. No need to generate digital 0G flowing hair. I'm sorry, no excuse. That is a crime on hair community. I hope that the producers find this out and don't ever let her wear that hair ever again. I feel bad. I don't know.
Here.
Please,
it was all budgetary.
They could have picked a better wig.
Yes.
They could have picked a better wig, like a chignon or a ponytail. Like, seriously, not the Heidi hair.
Heidi hair. That was funny, by the way, Amy. Hair. I was good. I got that. Let's go ahead and hit the next away mission here, guys. All right, this is Union Federation, episode 220. We are discussing Star Trek Strange New Worlds, season 3, episode 3, Shuttle to Kenfori. And, of course, celebrating season 3 here, let's get into the main episode discussion. And I did find some, I had some topics I wanted to cover, but I did, of course, find a great article on blog.trek.core.com. Make sure you check it out, by Alex Perry. Shuttle to Kenfori is part zombie episode, part Klingon episode, and a complete joy to watch in Star Trek Strange New Worlds' latest foray into an underexplored genre for classic zombie-like episodes that aren't about the Borg, who don't quite fit in the classic zombie archetype. Only Enterprise's impulse comes as close to being the same loving tribute to the zombie genre, which I believe we discussed last season about that, and the added Klingon elements, as well as continuing the character arcs for several major characters on the show set. Shuttle to Kenfori is apart from the episode impulse. The title of the episode tells you everything you need to know about what you're getting into, both a tribute to classic zombie movie like Train to Busan, Dawn of the Dead, Star Kenfori, a zombie romp across an alien world, and Strange New Worlds delivers an episode that sees Captain Pike and Dr. Mbega travel to Kenfori, a former Federational agricultural outpost abandoned during the Klingon War, to locate a flower native to the planet that might hold the key to saving Captain Batel. So I have a question for you guys. The first topic that we have here is, first of all, don't go there. But topic 1 is Mbega's past. The episode delves deeper into Dr. Mbega's complicated past, particularly his actions during the Klingon War, including a shocking confession about his connection to the Klingon Dakra. This ties into the storyline of season 2 episodes Under the Cloak of War, which was the Mbega episode we were waiting for. I felt like he was kind of getting shown underneath the radar a little bit. So, Haley, I want to start with you. Your thoughts on Mbega's past here.
I mean, everyone's kind of got a pass, but I like this about our characters. I like that we get a slow burn on learning more about who they are. I don't want it all in my face all at once. And I like that we still kind of are like intrigued by him. We don't quite understand all of Dr. Mbega. And I really enjoy that, actually. I completely forgot about Under the Cloak of War, so I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it. But it was nice to finally get that omission. But I still am kind of hesitant to say that he did it, for the reasons that he did. And so I'm still kind of on the fence, actually. I don't know about you guys, but I am.
All right. What about you, Amy? What are your thoughts on Mbega's past?
Who?
Amy.
Me? Oh, yeah. No, I actually really enjoy this because under the cloak of war, I'm still not sure that the Klingon Dakar, like, what if he was repentant and wanting to, be a better human or a better Klingon? And Mbenga stole that from him. So there's that it's like, I always believe in a second chance, but now we've got Mbenga, who has been generally a good person until this one bad, poor choice of killing out of anger and vengeance. But it makes our characters more complicated. One thing I remember so many people criticizing Picard about, oh, he's too perfect and da da da. Well, now we have Mbenga, who has made a wrong decision, who murdered someone, admittedly, but we're still going to accept because we are complicated. It's not all black and white. And that's what I love that this story gives us, that is so different than our classic Trek of black and white, good and bad. Like, we're getting into the gray area with these 2 episodes, and I am all for it because that's what life is.
Nice comments. Kyle, what about you? What do you think about Mbenga's here? We're getting a little deeper dive into his past and he's killed a lot of Klingons.
Well, there's 2 things. First of all, I think we're about this close from Mbenga being the most badass character in Star Trek, because this guy is just amazing. I mean, he's got this past, but he's an amazing doctor as well, and just everything about him that they've done with him is so intriguing. But there's a side to this too with the Mbenga story that I think is actually kind of important, because it ties into something we talked about in last week's episode, Kevin, about who was the best captain, the most heroic captain, things of that nature. How Pike dealt with this after the fact, finding out the truth and pulling him aside and saying, well, if this was a sanctioned mission, I would obviously have to report this, but this wasn't a sanctioned mission. And more importantly, you're my friend. And he stood by him, even though maybe the Starfleet honors would report it, but he protected him and he understood and he gave him understanding. And I think that is one of the things I really liked about this episode too, was really seeing how deep that friendship between Mbenga and Pike really goes, and that history between them as well. And I think that was really a great thing to see as well. So I think everything did with Mbenga in this episode was just absolutely phenomenal.
You touched on something that I thought was kind of cool, Kyle, the fact of how badass that he is. And when you get the dark side of a character's past, this is always, very entertaining for us as viewers to see this. And Babs is actually really good in this episode for that reason. And he has kicked some ass before. If you guys have not seen the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, he plays a character by the name of Heron with Henry Cavill in 2024 film, where basically it's kind of an inspiration for the guy who wrote James Bond and the World War II secret missions that they went on. He's part of this secret mission that goes to basically kill a bunch of Nazis and do a secret mission. He was really good. I was remembering that movie and him being in that when I was watching this episode here. So yeah. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the next related topic here, guys. Topic 2 is the Klingon lore and honor. This episode explores Klingon culture and concepts of honor, particularly through the character of Baitha, who seeks revenge for her father's death. It's interesting to get another interpretation of Klingon, first of all, performance, but also Klingon's honor and death and how that runs deep. And Haley, I want to start with you. Your thoughts on how that was showcased in this episode with the character of Baitha.
Yeah, I really loved this. I liked the Klingons in this episode, the look that they gave them. I think it was a good melding of Klingons from TOS and Klingons from TNG. And I really appreciated that they didn't go really super weird like Discovery did. And they didn't go like really far back as far as TOS. So they gave him a really, really appreciative look. I did enjoy Baitha. I liked her character. It's understandable. It's that she would want to reclaim the honor that her family had. Going back to Worf when, he loses his honor, and the fight that he had with that, and the personal struggles that Klingons are shunned and turned away is really quite interesting, because we see that in society all the time. And so I found that really quite fascinating, and her deviousness at planting something in an olive to keep track of a Mbenga, so that when he showed up close enough to space, Klingon space, that she was prepared to go and seek her vengeance and reclaim her family's honor. And I like this idea of, even if nobody knows, she knows. And so, yes, no one else is going to know that she got her honor at the end, but she knows, and that's what matters. And I think that that's an important lesson, because it's not what other people think. It's maybe not that other people know. It's what you know and what you feel about yourself that matters, and not anybody else's opinion. So I loved that at the end, that she saved them and got that for herself.
Well said. Nice comments. All right, Amy, what about you?
Wow. Okay, Haley, you might have just talked me into liking this, because this was my least favorite part of the episode. So I'm like, come on. Mbenga killed him. So that should be good enough to restore your honor. Like, you don't have to kill him because he killed Dakar. So I was really struggling, and I felt like the actor, she really hit it too hard. I felt like it was just stressed. It was forced. I didn't believe her. But gosh, Haley, you make a good point of, she is doing what she believes. And there's no doubt about that. And when she goes and sacrifices herself to save Mbenga and Pike, because that's going to be the honorable death, my gosh, that's some conviction. I don't know that I agree with it in this situation. I don't know that it was necessary. Like, why can't we use a transitive property? Like, Mbenga killed him, so we've got our honor restored. Like, the logic of it sometimes escapes me. But yeah, it was my least favorite part of the episode.
Kyle, what about you, sir?
I was very intrigued by the character. I wish they would have kept her around longer, because I think there was more story to tell here. I'm going to kind of with Amy. There was aspects of this that were my least favorite part, because it felt like this honor sacrifice was was developed to convenience the storyline, to create a out for them for Pike and Mbenga to escape. So I wasn't quite sure how I was feeling about that. I love her weapons, though. I love that whip she had. That was very cool to see. But
We've never seen anything like that except the early TNG whips by the Ferengis, and this was a much better version.
Yeah, exactly.
Much better version.
I think this was kind of a little bit of a waste of a character that could have played a role again later on in the show. And like I said, I think for me at the end of it, if I sacrifice myself, I'm getting my family's honor back. Just felt like, we got to get a way to make that sacrifice mean something, and yet still be able to fit it in the storyline so they can escape. There was other ways around it. That's just my personal opinion, but I know other people here probably don't quite agree with my view on that.
I don't think she was going for restoring her family's honor at that point. She was restoring her honor. She was, because if you think about it, yes, Mbenga, one would think that with Klingon culture, that her father dying would keep that, right? Would keep the honor, that they wouldn't lose that respect that they had. But if you think about it, it's actually more honorable in that situation, and for culture of what we do know about Klingons, that a family member has to be the one to kill the person who's dishonoring the family. It's kind of similar with Viking culture. If somebody else does it, if it's an outsider, that death is not an honorable death. It's not going to restore it. So it makes sense that with the situation as it was, her family was dishonored.
And she
lost that.
the one thing I thought was interesting too is she had to explain it was just tough enough because of the shame that she was feeling from her house and her family. It was just tough enough to get a starship to, to command and to do this. But I'm with you, Amy, though. There is something missing with the performance itself of this actress that played it. And I want to give a shout out to the actress here. The actress is, sorry, I've got it here, Christine Horn. Okay, so when it comes to Klingon episodes, I'm very picky. And there's certain people that really do Klingons well. And I felt that as a Klingon, I don't think she, for me, really sold me. The look was fantastic. I love the outfit. And Kyle, you brought up the weapon. It was great. The story I was fine with. I get why it might have felt like it was shoehorned to kind of fit the story, but it was still a nice little, look into similar things that we've seen. But I'll be honest with you. I found her portrayal as the Klingon itself was a little distracting in addition to Una's hair. And I'll explain why. I was getting flashbacks to, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there's a certain Deep Space Nine episode called Apocalypse Rising, where the main cast has to basically infiltrate a Klingon stronghold disguised as Klingons themselves. And for those of you that don't know, a lot of people will understand here that there's certain people that just should never be Klingons ever again. And Cole Meany, Chief Miles O'Brien, was not a good Klingon at all in that episode. He was horrible. But Avery Brooks killed it. He was fantastic. And I was getting I was just going, I don't know. But I was able to put that aside because of the story that was doing there. But I was getting flashbacks to that episode. So, all right, guys, things got a little tense at the end of the episode here. And Ortega's development. The episode also features Lieutenant Ortega's experiencing intensifying PTSD and making questionable decisions, potentially foreshadowing further development for her character. She also didn't like, she didn't like the command. She was kind of getting this sixth sense about the extra scanning that should be done, and she didn't appreciate, I guess, her idea not being executed. So I wanted to ask you guys, what's going on with Ortega? We touched on a little bit with the last episode with Wedding Bell Blues, where we see that she's still having this PTSD through what happened with the Gorn situations. Haley, what do you think? Your thoughts on Ortega's little side story here?
Yeah, I think, with this, it's very similar. People who are in extreme situations that she was in, it's understandable that they go on the other side and they want to push the boundaries and they want to push the limits because of, I went through this experience, I almost died. And now, you see people who kind of have these experiences where they get very sick, they, near death. And then suddenly, they're jumping out of planes and they're doing all these things and they're pushing the limits and the boundaries almost in a way to show to themselves, like, I'm still alive, I'm still here. Like, I can still do all the things. And so I think she's swayed to that side of things, and she's going to come back and get centered back. But I think it's going to take a little bit just because, she was what she went through. So I just, it's amazing. And I feel for her because I think, there's so much struggle there that she's not saying because she has to be so tough. And I think there's backstory to that as well. We don't have a lot of it yet, but I think there's some element of I have to put on the brave face, which I can relate to. So
Gotcha. Well said. All right. Amy, what about you? Ortega's.
Yeah. So I'm a little torn with this because I feel like we've sort of dealt with the PTSD with La'an, right? Wasn't she with the Gorn? And we dealt with that season 1, season 2, like at the end of season 1, her family and stuff. And so it seems a little repetitive. And I'd like to know how this is going to be different from the La'an story. Like, I'm not as intrigued I love Ortegas. I love that she's boxing. I love the relationship with her brother and Uhura. That was really cute. How can we annoy Ortegas? Like, that was fun. I just am not sure where this is going to go, and I don't want it to be repetitive because we've already discussed this with La'an and getting her over her Gorn fear.
Good point there. Kyle, what about you?
Well, I think this is going to be a case where this is going to get worse for Ortegas before it gets better. I think there's something pretty major that might be happening with her at some point during the season that really leads to a really big problem. Amy, to your point, I think there is a difference here because I think the point of this storyline is you have somebody, you have to remember, Luan basically grew up trying to survive the Gorn. And so she had a very horrifying experience where you have Ortegas, who's been this kind of always, I'm a badass, I'm the tough officer, and has completely had her confidence shaken. And now she's overcompensating. And I think and I said this last week too, I think we're leading to a story where you're going to actually see Luan and Ortegas probably bond with Luan, kind of helping Ortegas get through this via her own experience. And I think that could be actually a very interesting subplot here. And we still don't quite know what has happened to Ortegas. Is this just PTSD or is there something more to this? I brought this point up last week. She flew the Gorn ship. We're still not quite sure how all the mechanics of everything work with the Gorn. Who knows if maybe somehow she was infected in some way by doing that and her time, being digested, basically. Now you have Patel as a Gorn human hybrid. There's some pieces of puzzles here that can be put together in some very interesting ways, depending on which way they go with it.
Yeah, I agree, Kyle. I'm curious myself. Of course, we have seen the PTSD thing, as you mentioned earlier, Amy, with this episode. But I feel like this is a way of them keeping the Gorn always in discussion. And I've actually really enjoyed how menacing that they've made them, and we discussed that in the last episode here on Union Fed, and and how even though they seem animal-like, they're very, very smart, very, very dangerous, and I like that. So, but for the next topic, guys, it's just general discussion. I have one that we can share, but I didn't know if there was something else that you guys wanted to bring to the table. We had some other scenes, of course. We had the Spock mind meld go a little tense there, of course, with Batel. I also have, if you guys want to discuss zombies. Zombies came into our life again here, and I thought they did a really good job and homage to the horror genre. Kyle, you got something?
Well, since we're discussing zombies, Kevin, and we've been having this discussion on the Fandom Podcast Network for a while now, I need to know, did you go to your personal expert and get her judgment on if these were zombies or not?
No, my wife doesn't watch Star Trek, so no.
For shame.
Yeah. So there. Anyone else have any comments on zombies or any other topic you want to bring up?
I saw on social media, they have to do zombies because everyone's doing zombies. Like This Is Us. Is that The
Last of Us is very
Last
familiar.
Of Us, yeah, I haven't watched that. So
the reason why is the basis of The Last of Us is that there's a fungus that takes over human beings.
Okay.
And seems like this was very similar in that aspect, whatever was going on with the fauna.
Right. So they're like, Star Trek is just following along. But I'm like, look, we did our musical episode last season and everyone's like, oh, Buffy did it. Oh, da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, and we're doing it too. And we do it awesome. And you did bring up the Enterprise zombie episode. I think that one is amazing. I think Star Trek does zombies pretty well. And a shout out to the Orville that did those zombie ones too. So yeah. I'm all for it, even though I don't watch zombie shows. I never watched Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, or that last This Is Us or what Last of Us. But I can do one episode. And this one, I wasn't covering my eyes the whole time. I covered it twice, I will admit. But that last scene was really stuck with me. Like when the Bifa's hand stuck out And then the zombies
There
were
was some,
eating
I
her.
believe, if I remember right, too, there was some extra crunchy sounds going on during that.
That
Well,
was pretty darn awesome. I'm
Well,
just gonna say.
in defense of my wife that you were referring to earlier, Kyle, my wife is a horror movie expert. That is her genre and stuff. So she's seen plenty of zombies and she's seen all types of horror movies and stuff. But you know, she picks her poison when it comes to that type of stuff, and she has high reverence to a lot of those earlier zombie films, and so that's why I was glad that Kenfori got a shout out, because he's one of those character actors. You've seen him in a lot of like B action movies and stuff like that, and so I'm glad that he got a shout out by the crew here. And Amy, I love it when your favorite show hits a certain genre and showcases their version or their style of it.
Exactly.
I don't like the idea of like, well, the other show did it first. I don't give a shit, you know. I mean, come on. If they want to showcase it, and the fact that they also showcased, you know, Kenfori as well was an extra little cherry on top of the thing. So, you know, I'm all for it. If your favorite TV show wants to do a musical, do it. That would be awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, right, and same with like the Muppets. Like, just do it, you know. And Strange New World is open enough to give us the variety. Like, it is episodic, and this is the reason why, because we get to explore different types of genre.
Kyle,
just real quick, and then Haley. That's what I love about Strange New Worlds. They're not afraid to do different things. You had the musical episode. You had the fact that they bring Boimler and Jack Quaid and the Mariner into live action. They're not afraid to take chances, even if they seem silly or whatever. That's one of the great things about Strange New Worlds.
Haley?
One last thing. We also got Spock in the very lovely suit. And if you know what I'm talking about, TOS, and they go down, I always get Naked Time and Naked Now mixed up of which one it was, but they go down and they have like the red suit, and it kind of looks yeah. So Spock, when he's working with the Chimera plant, he's in that suit. From the original series, it looked like it had chicken wire.
Yes,
in front of the face. Yes. So yeah, so we do get that in this episode. So that was a really nice callback again to some someone knows that they should throw some of these things in, because we see it in TOS. So that was fantastic. And I want to touch on really quickly the tension in between Pike and Battelle, and you know, the idea of being included. And he said, you know, I loved how he said at the end, I'm going to support you no matter what, but I just wanted to be included in the options, and I just wanted to know ahead of time. And it's going to be interesting to see like what happens with their relationship going forward, depending on what happens with Battelle and how that's going to change.
Great point. I'm glad you brought that up. So we're going to do something a little bit different. I like to have a cast segment, guys, here. So, and I'm actually going to borrow this from my friend Aaron, who does a G.I. Joe podcast, where we choose one character from the episode that stood out for you. And it could also be the guest stars. So for you guys, let's do a little cast and guest star discussion here. And what I want is your standout. All right, Amy, who stood out for you in this episode?
Oh boy, you're just throwing that at us. Who stood out to me? Well, sorry, Kyle. I'm taking Babs and Mbanga.
That's a good one. Yeah. That's
he's so okay. First of all, his accent. Second of all, he's just gorgeous. Third of all, he's complex. And like I said, Under the Cloak of War, if you listen to All Good Things when I talked about my favorite episode of Strange New World Season 2, it was Under the Cloak of War. Like that confusion, that ambiguity, that complexity of gray, not black and white, we all get with Mbanga, especially with this Klingon Dakra. And so to have this revisited, to have him actually verbalize that he murdered him, to have him like feel that and to admit and to sort of forgive himself, which you would have to do in order to move on and not be traumatized. Like, and to have Pike reinforce, you are still a good man. Like, that forgiveness, and that just completes the arc that we as society needs to learn. You're not going to judge a person's life off of one action, one choice. Like, there's so much more to it. And I just feel that Mbenga and Babs did just such an amazing job, and he's my standout character for this episode.
Haley, who is your standout character or guest star?
My standout is going to be Martin Quinn, Scotty.
Scotty.
Yes. I mean, we all know Haley loves her engineers. So I love when they're sitting around and, he kind of chimes in, and kind of challenging Spock a little bit, just because he understands engineering. I mean, Spock is smart and he knows lots of things about lots of things, which is great. But I'm so excited to see this character develop, just because we all know how Scotty is about the Enterprise. And I'm so excited to see this learn up of Scotty, of young Scotty, into the Scotty that we know from TOS. And so his little chiming in of like, well, actually, if we do it like this, we'll make it work. Yeah. And those little things are just so great. So I'm so excited to see this character develop.
Awesome. Yeah, he is so cute in this episode. So good. Yeah.
Kyle, who's your cast standout or guest cast?
It's Mbenga. He is just, anytime they do a story that centers around him or give him a big part, your eyes are glued to him because you don't know where they're taking his story next. He's so charismatic in this really interesting way, and just, again, I think one of the most well-written and complex characters we've seen in Star Trek in a very long time. I just love everything they do with him.
Well said. I'm going to give it to Ortegas. Obviously she ruffled some feathers with Una and her hair. But the scene that stands out for me was when they're trying to figure out, like, how are we going to rescue Mbenga and Pike here? And Spock makes the suggestion of, was it 4 hours to get down there? And you see Ortega struggling with it, going, I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me. And to say that in front of, like, the commanding officer and everyone in that tone, just like, oh, girl, you go, and and then, like, she explains what they should do and why are we even, entertaining this and basically coddling the Klingons, so to speak, is the feeling that I got here. So let's just go in and get these guys and fight her way through is kind of what I'm figuring that she's trying to do here. And then, she gives her calculations, and then, Uhura, Nyota gives her thoughts to kind of like saying, I can't, specifically remember the wording, but it kind of squashes the plans that Ortega says. And then, Una does not do Ortega's plan. And then when Ortega gets up to leave, she goes quietly, thanks, Nyota. It's just like, oh, that's some good tension.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was great. And I don't think they even, those two got together to really discuss that, what happened or showcase any apologies. So it makes me interesting. Are they going to follow that up in the next episode or not? So we'll see. So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and let's wrap things up. All right. This is episode 220 of of Union Federation, discussing Strange New Worlds, episode 3 of season 3, Shuttle to Kenfori, Union Federation podcast, of course. And we've got some stuff that we're going to be teasing for upcoming episodes for Strange New Worlds. 10 episodes here. We're excited. We got a lot of fun stuff planned here. But what I wanted to do is get your final thoughts on this episode. Kyle, let's start with you.
I said this before. I think this is probably my favorite episode of the season to this point. I think anything with Mbenga is great. I think there was a lot of intrigue there. I loved Pike in this episode. Everything about it. I think it was probably the most complete episode so far this season. I love the season premiere is great. Wedding Bells Blues was great. It was fun in its own way, but I think it's just a pure Star Trek episode. This was the best episode of the season. And like I said, anytime you're centering around Mbega, I'm in. So yeah, it's that simple.
Haley, final thoughts on this episode.
I'm looking forward to see where we're going, and also I need a spinoff. I forgot to mention this earlier. I need a spinoff of Captain Pike and Mbenga going off on like shuttle adventures and reminiscing about like their old times and their shenanigans and whatever else they got into, because I'm sure these two got into some stuff when they were younger for sure. And also just their relationship is really wonderful and so strong, and I appreciate that. So I think I'm excited to just kind of see where these characters develop and what happens from here.
Awesome. Amy, your final thoughts on Shuttle to Kenfori.
Yeah, this was a really great episode. I've talked about it a lot with the continuation of Under the Cloak of War, but the ship scenes of going through and staying away from, who were they? Or am I confusing the others? Well, no, it was the one where Ortegas went a little too fast, right? Like those outer space scenes were really good, because you know how Kevin, you and I complained about Discovery being too dark. Like I could see what was happening. I could follow that they were moving through the debris and the debris was hitting them. Like that's still exciting to me. And so I love that we're dodging and moving, and we've got, Ortegas guiding us through. So it just was a very well-rounded, a little light on the humor and stuff, but Scotty sort of brought that in, like, I can do this, So overall, just a really solid episode.
Well said. One thing I've noticed too is, and I'm just going to round out by saying that I love that we're getting a lot of little interactions with the characters. And that breeds character development. I feel like going into season 3 here, the cast is like a well-oiled machine. And because of that, we are wanting more of each of these characters. We're wanting them to mix and mingle and do side adventures with a couple of the characters and stuff like that. And that's one of the things that I stood out to me with this episode, is that, even though we have Mbenga and Pike doing their main mission, the rest of the crew has their own issues or interactions or fun or whatever it is. And I think this show is definitely showcasing that. So yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and let you guys know that we are here, of course, the Union Federation, discussing both Star Trek and the Orville here on the Fandom Podcast Network, and partnership here with the Fandom Podcast Network and the BQN. Amy, tell us what's happening with the BQN lately and how to find you.
Well, yeah. So you can find me on All Good Things. We are continuing our discussions there. And we've got our Trexperts quiz that's going to be starting up real soon. And so please join us on our Discord server. I, of course, will be at STLV. And so if you want to meet up, please hit us up at BQM Podcasts on Blue Sky, or Instagram is where you can find us.
Awesome. Cool. Haley, where can we find you?
You can find me on, oh my gosh, I almost said Twitter. Not there. I'm not there. I'm sorry. You can find me on Blue Sky and Instagram at Trekkie01D, and I'm also still lurking in our Facebook group.
Awesome. Very cool. Kyle, where can we find you, sir?
Of course, you can find me all over the Fandom Podcast Network with all of our great programming here, including Union Federation. And you can find me on Twitter at AKyleW. You can find me on Blue Sky at AKyleW. And you can find me on Instagram and Threads at AKyleFandom.
Awesome, Kyle. Thank you. Also, too, you can find me, Kevin. I am at Spartan_Phoenix on all of the socials, and of course on Blue Sky as well at Spartan Phoenix. Please join our Union Federation podcast Facebook group, where we are both sharing and discussing Star Trek and of course the Orville. And we are also Union Fed is also on X and Instagram. And you can email us at unionfederation@gmail.com. So make sure you guys check that out. We appreciate the support. And also head on over to TeePublic. I got my Fandom Podcast Network t-shirt on. But we also have Union Fed logo up there, too. You can get all kinds of cool logos from all of our shows on shirts and apparel, hats, cups, all kinds of stuff, pillows as well. So make sure you check that out. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us here for Union Federation Podcast, episode 220, discussing Star Trek Strange New Worlds, season 3, episode 3, Shuttle to Kenfori. I'd like to thank, of course, Kyle, Amy, and Haley. Thank you guys again. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. We'll be back next week here live on the Fandom Podcast Network YouTube channel, celebrating, of course, Strange New Worlds, season 3. Until next time on the Union Federation Podcast, we like to always say, live long and prosper. And without a doubt, we are the weirdest ship in the fleet. We'll see you next week.